All right, today we're going to go way beyond the usual talk about budgets and spreadsheets. We're going to look at the invisible force that's really in charge of your financial destiny, the story you tell yourself about money. So let's dive in. You've been there, right? We've all been there. You make the perfect financial plan. You're motivated, you're ready to go, and then a few weeks later, poof, you're right back where you started. It's so frustrating, and it makes you wonder, why is this so hard? Why do we keep getting in our own way? And this quote, well, it just gets right to the heart of it. See, the problem usually isn't your strategy, it's your story. Your financial success literally has a ceiling, and that ceiling is set by the person you believe you are. To really understand why this happens, we need to look at what's quietly running in the background of your mind. I want you to think of it like a financial thermostat, something that's controlling your behavior whether you realize it or not. So your self-image, who you deep down believe you are when it comes to money, it works just like a thermostat. If that thermostat is set to, say, struggling but getting by, your brain will unconsciously do everything it can to keep you at that temperature. It might even sabotage a big win just to get back to what feels familiar and, normal. So do any of these sound a little too familiar? These are the settings on that thermostat. And notice they aren't just thoughts, they are identities. When you say, I am a spender, you're not just describing something you do. You are claiming who you are. And your brain will work overtime to make sure your actions prove that identity right. These identities are built on something called money scripts. Now, the key thing to get here is that we don't consciously choose these beliefs. Not at all. We absorb them from our parents, our friends, our culture. They're like the unwritten rules about money that we've been following our whole lives without even knowing it. And this is how it turns into a self-fulfilling prophecy. It all starts with a belief. That belief then hardens into an identity. That identity drives your actions or inactions, which then creates an outcome that just proves the original belief was true all along. It's a really powerful and often really destructive loop. But wait, it's not just our personal stories that are holding us back. Our brains actually come with some built-in glitches. They're these little mental shortcuts that were awesome for survival back in the day, but, well, they're often pretty terrible for our wallets. This is the fundamental issue right here. Our brains evolved to deal with immediate life or death threats and to snatch up instant rewards. They did not evolve to calculate compound interest over 30 years. We're basically running ancient software on modern financial hardware. The technical term for these glitches is cognitive biases, and the most important thing to know about them is that these are not personal flaws. They aren't a sign that you're bad with money. They are predictable, universal features of every human mind. The goal isn't to get rid of them, because you can't. It's to become aware of them so they don't run the show. Okay, let's talk about one of the most powerful forces in all of finance, loss aversion. We are just fundamentally wired to hate losing way more than we enjoy winning. I mean, think about it. The sting you feel from losing $100 is so much stronger than the little thrill you get from finding $100. And that emotional imbalance messes with us. It makes us too cautious. It causes us to hold on to bad investments for way too long, and it makes us sell our winners way too early. All right, next up, herd behavior. We are social creatures through and through. So we have this deep, deep instinct to just follow the crowd. It feels safe, right? And it saves us the mental energy of having to figure everything out for ourselves. But this shortcut is an absolute disaster in the world of finance. It's what fuels stock market bubbles and terrifying crashes. When everyone is buying, we get that FOMO, that fear of missing out, and we jump in, often right at the top. And when everyone's selling, we panic and sell too, usually right at the bottom. We keep mistaking what's popular for what's wise. And here's another huge one, present bias. This is the constant tug of war between your current self and your future self. And guess what? Your brain is totally wired to overvalue any reward that it can get right now. This single bias explains so much of our self-sabotage. That immediate pleasure of buying something new just feels so much more real and compelling than the abstract idea of having a funded retirement account in like 30 years. Present bias is the reason we know what we should do, but still have such a hard time actually doing it. So we've got these limiting identities and these tricky brain glitches working against us. It can sound a little bleak, right? But here's the empowering part. The question is, what are we going to do about it? because we can actively rewrite our financial stories. The first step, like with pretty much anything important, is just awareness. You can't change a script if you don't even know you're following it. So the real question is, how do you drag these unconscious beliefs out into the open?
Think of this as your personal excavation kit. You need to spend some real time with these questions. Be brutally honest with yourself. And that last question is the most important one of them all. Does this belief actually serve the life I'm trying to build? If the answer is no, then it's time for an upgrade. Now, rewriting your script isn't about some kind of wishful thinking. It's about consciously choosing a more empowering and, frankly, a more accurate way to see things. You shift from a fixed, dead-end identity like, I'm terrible with money, to a growth identity. I am learning to become financially capable. That tiny shift in language, it changes everything. And what about those brain glitches? Well, we can't delete them, but we can definitely build systems to outsmart them. Things like creating rules for yourself before your emotions get involved, forcing yourself to slow down and think, and automating good decisions. These are all ways you can protect yourself from your own worst instincts.
When you boil it all down, it really comes to this. Your financial behavior is not just about willpower or discipline. It's an echo of your identity. If you want different results in your life, you can't just try harder while clinging to the same old beliefs. You have to start by telling yourself a new, better, more empowering story. And that, right there, is the most hopeful message of all. The story you've been living so far, it's not a life sentence. It's just a first draft. You are holding the pen, and you get to decide what the next chapter looks like. You can start writing it whenever you choose. So, I'll leave you with this. After everything we've talked about, what is the one story, the one identity that you know has been holding you back? What is the one belief that you are finally ready to outgrow?